well, you guys are riding high off of your win just against G2, and you're going to end up going up against either Spacestation Gaming or Burrito. So my first question is really just, do you have a preference as to which one you go against?
I kind of think it's Spacestation. We got to play Burrito early on in the tournament, and those guys are amazing, and they're really fun to play against. But we always want to get as much experience against new teams as possible.
So everything today so far has been scrims against each other, essentially scrim partners that have been playing each other forever and forever. Going up against Brazil, you've played against Burrito like you said, but they might bring something fresh to the table. Do you think you're ready to be able to handle that?
I think we're definitely ready. We've had a chance to scrim them before some of these matches on these days, so we've seen what they're able to do. And also, we study their matches. I mean, we knew that if we got through G2, we were going to be playing either Spacestation or Burrito, and, we prepared for it.
So coming into this one, I mean, they have a ton of players that always stand out. The same thing that really comes down with you guys, and a lot of similar champions that come down. Maeve, Bomb King, the Drogos. Do you think that there's anything that you really have to prioritize a lot higher just to make sure they don't get it and that you can hold on to it?
I think shutting down FrizzGod's pretty important. I think he's one of their strongest players, and as you mentioned, all those characters, he actually plays most of those, and those are his comfort picks. So I feel like getting him off one of those or forcing him into an awkward situation could be advantageous for us.
Definitely. Getting him off a hard carry and making Mittal carry some of the weight. I mean, Mittal does a great job, but from most of what we've seen, he likes to play the buck, and he just kind of stalls out and lets FrizzGod make the huge plays.
So overall, you'd say pretty much get rid of FrizzGod and makes it a lot easier to handle Spacestation as a whole?
Absolutely, man. He's a monster.
That's good.
So far, he's had probably one of the more stellar performances I think we've seen internationally, and finally we're going to get to see them come back. Potentially, there's still room for Burrito to come back, but either way, it sounds like you guys are prepared for both, so good luck in your games.
Thank you so much, man.
Very talkative group when it comes down to it with
I
Envy.
like the conversation.
Absolutely. They're definitely in the conversation now as they're looking to potentially go through and, get that rematch in the finals. But they have to go through Space Station first and foremost. Shift, Vox, we just saw us, but in a different environment and locale. This is fresh.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah,
Roomy, airy.
Very airy, very
Little
cool.
cold.
That's what it is. It is
Yeah.
what it is. Let's take a look at the bracket, though, and see just the journey that both of these teams have had thus far and where they go from here. Of course, you see Na'Vi lose, or actually be able to defeat Space Station. On the flip-hand side, it was Fnatic that took down Team Envy. And this, again, is going to be interesting. We saw Team Envy have some good success against Burrito. Space Station had similar success against Burrito. So now we're finally getting this matchup between one of the best in North America, our last North American hope, and, of course, the standout performers from Brazil. It is a best-of-5 set, too. So we're actually going to see a little bit more of that war of attrition potentially here.
Right, you have the opportunity not just to go and sort of run the reverse sweep, sure, that's always there even in a best-of-3, but you have more of an opportunity to learn how your enemy plays. And I think for, Space Station, we've seen them adapt in mid-tournament so far. That might be critical at taking down Envy, who I'm sure are going to try and throw them for a loop. Maybe not give them a free Makoa Maeve 2 games in a row.
Well, we are, of course, going to see potentially those two picks, maybe bans, though. I wouldn't anticipate Envy letting those go.
Well, Envy likes the Maeve as well. That's the thing.
True.
They love to play this pick specifically on maps like Frog Isle, where it's very open. We'll see if they're able to draft that through, or if it's more of a, let's just take this off the table. Let's just remove that entirely and ensure that there isn't an opportunity for that to be used against them.
So for you, do you think potentially the availability of Maeve just might come down to whoever has first pick on the maps?
Quite honestly, but it's whether you value the first pick Maeve or whether you value more potentially sort of, okay, we take the first pick Maeve, but what do you give up in return, right?
Sure.
I think there are some very intelligent bans coming through currently, which are limiting your ability to go for something like a first pick Maeve, because what do you give up in response? We saw actually Burrito in the previous set super value the Cassie as a first pick throughout both games, and they want that over a Makoa Maeve, but there are so many other picks which are available. The Ruckus has been in high contention throughout this tournament, although dropping off more recently, as has Fernando. Certain supports which enable different compositions are very high up there as well. But right now, it seems to be more of a DPS game than anything else.
Well, you also mentioned kind of the falling off of a couple of frontliners. How about the rise of another one? We saw Ares on screen for a second. He's been playing an absolutely lights out Khan. How important do you think Khan's going to be in these drafts?
I feel like it's very important currently because the way that which teams are utilizing Khan is very different to what we might have expected. Khan plays as an off tank. You don't play them as a main point support. You don't play them as sort of a solo bully like we see Fernando played, or Inara conversely as the first example there. Khan really relies on working as a duo. And that's something which we've seen executed very well by Space Station so far. They run the Khan and the Maeve together. We saw this actually utilized by Na'Vi as well, where they run the Khan alongside Mutu's Maeve, for example. On a Frog Isle game, they just go, well, we put them both together, you give them a heal if they're in danger, you give them bonus damage on your daggers, and you just delete people.
Yeah, I mean, could you give me any more buffs, please? It feels like we're just giving them away when Khan's in the lineup when it comes to that. And we even saw a couple of instances where it was the Khan, the Maeve, but also the Genos. So then you're dealing with Luminary with that Battle Shout bonus. That's that puts Maeve in another category, I think.
It really does, and what that allows you to do also is really reserve your pounces, your Street Justice pounces with that bonus damage on front lines for true execution, because both those damage buffs only affect your weapon shots. But if your daggers are swinging for 500, almost 600 apiece, you're dealing so much damage anyway that you can really regulate how you're using your pounces to just confirm that final bit of damage, maybe through a shield, maybe through a power siphon. But here we have some highlights for Ares in the previous set, just able to be a force of nature here. I love the way that Ares was playing around Rachawa's Makoa in both those games too.
Yeah, the other thing too, you see him utilizing that Battle Shout not just with the Maeve, but when he's surrounding around that frontline battle. That extra damage boost for whoever's nearby can happen to get that Terminus, that big health bullet, or the Anar, even with damage reduction. It just does not seem to make too much of a difference at that point.
Also, you've really got to value the fact that when you buff up a Makoa on the front line, if you're having these big brawly battles, the cannon which Makoa has is suddenly able to do a lot of work onto backline champions. Normally it'll take you around maybe 4 or 5 shots to kill, but forcing a reload. But this time around, Makoa's just able to, 3-shot some champions if they're fully buffed up.
Now, Frog Isle's our first map, but I want to turn your attention to the bans. Spacestation just looked really good on Frozen Guard. They actually take that away. Does that surprise you at all?
Not really. I feel like also with the Converse ban coming through, I think it was Fish Market, both these teams don't really want to play a map which has a very heavy sniper potential in there. They want to stay away from those long line of sights. They want to play something a bit more compact. We actually just had the interview at Space Station talking about how they might be looking to utilize a sniper on a smaller map as well. Something like that could be a bit of a surprise factor versus Envy.
Well, you also got to keep in mind, Rock Monkey has looked very good on just about everything he's played, and that does include the sniper gameplay. So that might be some of the strategy involved. There is Rock Monkey, and he's been really interesting to kind of get to know throughout this weekend, over the last couple of weeks, really, for all of us here, as he's got such an explosive game mentality, but he's actually a very quiet, very reserved guy in person.
Yeah, Rock Monkey's a curious one here, and the thing about his playstyle which really impacts is the fact that, sure, we see this real flex in terms of aggression levels, so you'll play super defensively, he'll play super aggressively, but what's critical is that he's consistent in his aim, and that's such a big factor when playing champions like Charlene, who sure does 1,000 burst damage, but it takes a couple of seconds to fire. Not missing any shots or missing very few is so important and really sways the impact of a game when you have this consistent damage output.
Yeah, and the consistent damage, I think, is the biggest thing. Of course, we've seen it happen on Cassie and Shaolin alike, that kind of tandem of bow-wielding champions. And when Rockamucky gets going, he's hard to deal with, especially when this team is creating space. That was the key for me here as we take a look back to Stone Keep against G2 just a little bit ago, was the fact that look how much free... No one's even looking at Rock Monkey. When no one looks at Rock Monkey, he will absolutely punish every single time, and that's really key. And this was actually up against a sniper. That was done by iDrop Bodies in that game, if you remember back, and it just didn't seem to make a difference who was put on him, frontliner or damage dealer. Rock Monkey's going to come up on top if he gets the chance.
Yeah, but look at what Rock Monkey, or how Rock Monkey was playing in this Stone Keep game. It was primarily around a Khan, so you have that pocket heal, which is practically at the level of a Pip healing potion at some circumstances. You give yourself crowd control or immunity, not just reduction for 4 seconds following that, and increase weapon damage on a Cassie. It's that kind of tandem play which we saw Space Station previously execute along with the Khan and the Maeve, or the Khan and the Makoa. That time with the side of Envy, they prefer putting the Khan next to true damage carries and really enabling them.
Yeah, absolutely. But another kind of instance that I'm really interested in here is going to be this kind of support comparison between Mr. Hayes and Diren, who have had incredible moments. And again, it's not the sexiest role to play in Paladins, the support role, but it is a very crucial one. And both of these guys, especially so far today, have come through in the clutch.
They have indeed. I think overall, Mr. Hayes right now holds that kind of top spot Genos position in the side of North America and South America right now. The Void Grips have been critical and incredible in terms of timing and zoning away enemies from objectives. From Diren, we haven't seen quite the same level, but again, we've seen nothing but consistency. There's nothing I can really criticize there from Space Station. It's good, it's nothing incredibly flashy, it's nothing incredibly standout, but honestly, isn't that what you want from a support? You want to know that when you're in trouble, they'll be there to heal you.
Yep, absolutely. In the Frog Isle of all places, that burst healing can come through, as we saw earlier. It could bring you a second, sometimes a third life, and that could be what you need, although both snipers taken away instantly here. Both teams having some respect for the long-range potential out of both Strix and Kinessa on Frog Isle. Drogo's also taken away, so again, we're going to see now, ooh, Genos banned out. So that's 4 bans, no frontliners taken away, but the Genos is a very interesting one. Tell me your thoughts.
So banning out the Genos from Space Station, again, it feels like they're reflecting the fact that Envy often plays this sort of tri-DPS composition, which can be really enabled by the Genos here. They also recognize and respect the fact that this is Mr. Haste's comfort zone. They try and push him out of that. I wouldn't be surprised as Envy draft Makoa if they maybe went in for a Cassie Maeve here. I feel like you do have to grab the Maeve and take that away from Envy right now. This does subsequently give Envy the opportunity to try and draft a Maldamba here alongside possibly an Inara. That'd be your reliable composition, right? But Space Station have damage on their side.
Yeah, I was about to say, Envy, if you're looking at this early on in the draft sequence, Space Station has already set up what their big burst damage potential is going to be. Envy has the opportunity, though, to counter with a solid and stalwart front line, and that's exactly where they're going to go first. The Makoa, Inara, and Maldamba. I was about to say, this makes absolute sense. Take what you have available, get yourself established as the superior front line, and I think those 3 picks will make them do that.
The thing is, right now, Space Station Gaming, this allows them to go ahead and pick up a Khan pretty much for free, which has been a consistency throughout their draft so far. They do ahead and go into the Ceres. I feel like they don't really need to prioritize frontliners right now, as they can leave us for a while, but Khan is picked up alongside the Ceres. A lot of healing coming through. Sort of utilized by Na'Vi, actually, on Frog Isle yesterday, with Mortal Reach rather than the Void Abides, the talent that Ceres picked up. Could be really useful for a burst sort of like pocket heal onto one individual, with Khan playing almost a secondary support role here.
Yeah, I really like this a lot. I think Space Station's actually getting everything that they want in this situation. We saw them pull out Ceres on Frog Isle yesterday, a couple of really clutch, again, combination of ultimates, looking to do the same thing here, but they also get the, again, that buff bonus from Khan with the Maeve, that tandem duo that did so well just previously against Burrito. And now Envy, this is interesting to me, actually. I was going to say, with the Ceres, you need some cauterize early on, but they go with 2 big burst damage dealers, a Shaolin and a Bomb King, and to finish off the draft, it'll be a Terminus for Space Station.
I don't know how I feel about that Terminus. That's a bit of a wombo combo that I'm looking at here for these 2 teams to be able to pull off effectively. Maybe you have a convergent setting things up shift, but the execution threshold for Space Station is pretty high.
Yeah, well, setting it up is what we're going to try to do. Let's set up our casters. How about game number 1, boys? What do you think for this best of 5?
Well, I'm excited we get to cast for more than 20 seconds. It's going to be nice to be here for a little longer. Evan Rayner, Nick Keogh here on the cast. And, man, I got to say, this set looks like it's going to be an exciting one, based off these first initial drafts.
Yeah, it's really, really polarizing, though. I mean, Envious, their win condition, clearly they're going all in on this front line. And, boy, do they have a strong one. Makoa, Nara, nothing to mess with. However, Space Station, the Cassie Maeve, they talked about wanting to get Freeze God off of some of his comfort picks, and he's looked pretty damn good on the Maeve thus far.
He certainly has.
Excuse me, Midtow.
Yeah, he certainly has. He's proven to be, he's the #1 ranked Grandmaster in Paladins. So that means something, no matter what region you're coming from. And Ares running that firing line. He's just been playing Khan again and again. I wonder if we're going to get to the point, if we keep seeing success with Khan and with Ares in general, that they're going to ban it out, or they're going to take it.
I think once Na'Vi comes into the fold, that's definitely going to be in the conversation, because Space Station Gaming are just getting out ahead of the pack with the pick, to be quite honest. They're playing so well around it. And as the newest champion in the realm goes, it's important to be able to do that, to set that bar so high, as the first hook won't result in a kill.
Look at this. He's taking that fight, man. He's not scared at all. Random noob, I'm not sure, expected that. Midtow with the daggers takes down the blaster on the side of Envy, but Rubu answers back with a big kill on FRZ God.
There it is, the trigger discipline of the pounce. It'll be loosed onto the support, but he misses a lot of daggers there, 4 in a row, so Mr. Hayes lives.
But Mr. Damba is very slippery, and this is the thing that Dyron is doing that Spunky mentioned. The underappreciation of Ceres on a map like this with certain picks. She can do exactly what a sniper does, only reveal themselves when she wants to get a heal off, and that is making it very hard to stop this output.
Yeah, and then she can break line of sight once more. 21% for Space Station on the objective. Nobody really out in front in terms of this game, and it eviscerates Makoa. The more health you have, the more vulnerable you are. Beautiful angle played by Rock, though.
And that's the patience of Rock Monkey. He just knows exactly what he wants to do. He knows the win condition for his team. Tolkien now getting in trouble. Rachao on the Terminus, swinging away onto the Stigala, but she gets a nice heal as well from Damba. Mr. Hayes playing very well, but FRZ got here off the blasters onto the Cassie. He's going to take down Rock Monkey, and SSG are still looking good.
Evan, such small things are deciding this fight. Random thought he was being pushed, so he backed up, and then nothing happened. happens, so he's just effectively useless for the next 5 seconds. He doesn't do anything there, and it makes an easy cleanup onto Inara.
This is not an SSG team that's playing safe. They're not playing comfortable. They're playing to win. Brazil is coming in and making waves in the Paladins esports scene for the first time
Ever. The first time ever.
Forever.
This team has not won an international set ever before this event, and now look at them as they blaze away through the losers bracket. Envy looking to put a stop to that here. The first best of 5 set here today. There's a lot of Paladins in front of us.
And here's where they reset, and that's the thing I thought that was just really poor in Burrito's play. I think I'd said it was SSG, but it really was Burrito, where great players, but their resets were not very strong. They had a lot of 30, 40 seconds wasted because they staggered into fights.
It's that Latin fire. They always think it's winnable. Winnable. Maybe recognizing those opportunities, it's what's going to separate the men from the boys here. I think G2 did that very well, but obviously you don't want to have to be in the situation where you're jumping off the map too often.
And Midtow getting out of those tricky situations, very much like we saw Random Noob do the other time before when he piloted this and got that victory over G2. Now on a 3 streak, holding things down, 1 minute and 25 seconds left on the clock for Space Station Gaming with their first objective win to be able to push, and that's FRZ God kind of starting things off with a scout.
Rock looking really good on the Shaolin. Definitely one of his comfort picks. Has to be big for Team Envy. In need of some healing. The convergence goes out.
Oh, boy.
Won't find anyone there. Just buy some zoning.
And they tried it. This was the Wombo combo that Vox was talking about. It was not easily done, but it bought space. It forced them all to retreat. You could not stand anywhere near there. And as a result, look at this. 3 members low on the side of Envy. Random Noob could go down here, but he's getting a nice heal from Mr. Hayes.
Mr. Hayes really keeps that fight together for his boys. Rashao recognizes, I'm not getting out of this one. Might as well go down swinging, and he will. Rock Monkey credited with the kill. 42 seconds left on the clock. Space Station looking to get a clean disengage here. Bomb King's so good against Khan, though. He just goes right over the shield. There's no defensive moments for the Khan.
30 seconds left, and ultimates were committed by Space Station Gaming. So right now, what you're really looking to do is just get them charged back up again. Cassie's going to get that the easiest, then Maeve, then Saris, and then Terminus and Khan, depending on how you slice it, both with slow charging ultimates. So that's going to be the big kind of question mark. Can they get those frontliner ults on by next round?
Ares is just getting punished by this Bomb King right here. It's really not a safe angle for him to be holding. Random Noob's just farming damage off him at this point. Rock finds a long distance kill onto mid-tower. Terminus is looking to get involved, but again, it looks like he'll be handled quite easily.
Really good power siphon, though. It buys some time. It forces the cooldowns away. This is overtime. It's not looking good for the side of Space Station Gaming. And now, again, like I said, you just try to get your ultimates online. That's another great play by Rock Monkey, who, despite going against the Maeve, feeling confident as ever.
Yeah, they're playing around it very well, and I think part of it is they're keeping Random Noob in front of this Khan here, which is going to be their strongest matchup, and sends that Makoa into the Shadow Realm there and off into where he's most comfortable, to be quite honest, and he's not able to shell spin back on. It's a risk to use that trajectory, though. Normally you want to try when you can to just dunk people straight into the hazard zone.
One of the things that I noticed that Ares does really well is he uses his battle shout before he goes into the overpower. And correct me if I'm mistaken, but you're not CC immune in that ultimate, so you have the ability to add that CC immunity to yourself with the shout. You get a little bit of extra healing, so you're buffed, but you don't get dissuaded from having someone make a crazy play against you, some amazing stun potential from Rock Monkey and BK as well, and drop that crucial pick you're trying to finish off.
It's the ultimate no counterplay moment.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate feels bad, man. And that's why some of the strategy around playing around overpower is to just get it over with.
Yeah.
Rip the band-aid off, force it out as fast as possible. Mid-Tau finds nothing on his flank.
And they have the Cassie and the Maeve, so remember, this is really a moment where they cannot see. Tolkien gets thrown off, but he's going to stay on.
Caught himself.
And that's a beautiful play by him. I don't know if he used the wall. I don't know if he just hit the edge. This is definitely one that they wish they had back, as Tolkien's alive and well.
There it is, and he's just pushing this Maeve down so tanky, but he's starting to run out and misses a critical moment there. Runs into the slow as well, easily punished. Tolkien, beautiful stuff from him controlling this team fight.
Can Ares stay alive? No, Random Noob will send him away. Rachel just trying to dive the back line, but if Envy are smart, they're going to hold off for a while. They get him a little quicker than maybe would have been best. Space Station Gaming have a chance to respawn now. Only 60% for Envy, but a good zone here will keep them off.
Envy still have such big ultimates in the tank as well. Space Station literally just have Scout, and that's not going to get the job done here. I don't see Envy losing this objective.
Oh, but I think they touched. Did she get on? Did she get on? Oh, she did. Great stuff from Mr. Hayes. The preemptive Dread Serpent's going to stop her from even touching, so fantastic stuff from Team Envy to turn it around.
Oof, not really sure they can bring this one back 3 for 1. Envy are going to fall to the wayside here. Space Station take a nice fight. They're going to stagger out the Sonara as well. And when it's all said and done, this doesn't really mean much for Team Envy because honestly, they kind of need to go home. They kind of need to spend those credits to actually cement the lead that they've now built.
Definitely. It's just going to give a little bit more room. And I mean, that stagger was about 10 seconds long. So
it's a long one.
A very long stagger in comparative terms. Mistook there by Rubu, getting Makoa much more than he probably anticipated in this tournament. And still looking to force Rock Monkey into a good situation by applying some pressure elsewhere.
So about 30 seconds burned from that zone here as the calm before the storm, so to speak, on Frog Isle. The clock strikes midnight. Envy have lost their vision, but just for a small little time there, and they come roaring out of the darkness.
No moment of Sixth Sense or Persistence is going to get you out of that amount of damage. That is just too much to bear. The Convergence, again, doesn't find much from Dyron. Ares being picked on here, and I think maybe this is Envy's strategy. Let's just get rid of this Khan. He's enabling so much. Let's focus him, and it's working.
Yeah, they make a quick work of him over here on the right-hand side flank. Force the Ancient Rage out of Rubu for survival. He's going to get one kill onto Rochelle, but ultimately it's about keeping this momentum alive for Envy. Rock finds a really long distance pick onto Midtow as Space Station Gaming maybe starting to fall apart on the defense.
But you know, if you're going to get an Ancient Rage this round, I'd love to have it there.
The trap.
And I think he knows. He's got Power Siphon over it. He can Calamity Blast. There's really no way he can do it. He's just going to swing through.
Oh,
and at this point, he basically gets Midtow, which is very dangerous, and he's just going to go back to base, but it was very close. That would have been a big payoff if they got that.
Almost counts in horseshoes, hand grenades, and apparently royal subjects as well. 30 seconds left here. Payload very close, up over the top. It's very cinematic.
He's got some Air Jordans
So dramatic and right into the face. Midtow plays exactly into Rock Monkey's hands.
And this is a push successful, probably an easy push. And this is one where you just talk about the execution. Envy on their zone after winning that point fight initially, and on their zone once they got momentum thanks to the Ancient Rage, they never let it go.
So dealing with the Mave. Envy seemed to have figured it out, and the Khan Mave as well. That's a combo that's starting to kind of be on the come up this event, and maybe it's because it's random noob on the Bomb King. He is, I think, in my opinion, been one of the best Maves of this event because of who he's had to play it into.
Yeah.
And maybe because of that, because he knows the champion inside and out. Field talks about this all the time. Even if you are a frontline player, you got to play other stuff so you know what they can do. And you know, Random does know what that champion can do, when it can succeed, when it can be weak.
And I agree with that. I think they have dealt relatively well with the Mave. The problem is they're really dealing with Rochelle. The Terminus is getting no value here. He hasn't found kills on his ult. They've tried a Convergence combo twice. It's whiffed. You can't keep wasting 2 out of your 5 very expensive resources and not getting value from them. I think they're trying to get Random Noob here, and they do. It's a very fast pick, and now Maven Khan running in the backside. That's not something that Mr. Hayes wants to see.
But look at him go. He's kind of fighting back against this, forcing them into a weird spot. Rock Monkey holds it together. The Heat Haze is going to bail Midtow out for this fight. 3-1. Envy lead, and they're in control of the objective, and they're winning this fight.
Yeah, they just don't have the same amount of sustain. I mean, Terminus is not really keeping up. He's not finding
Rubu
kills.
lived.
He's got to get Tolkien here. And as you mentioned, Rubu alive and well. He's got the double kill. Rachel's going to have to reanimate. There's no way he can't. 93% on the objective, 96. He's got a Shadowfall there. Doesn't have the cooldown, but Midtow will touch. But that touch is not going to result in anything.
He's touching. He's not killing anyone. Space Station Gaming, they get the short straw there. Envious played beautifully. The overpower doesn't kill Rubu, and that's really the beginning of the end. He shell spins back onto the map, kills 2. It's over right then and there.
Well, you get 2 chances to make a big play, to get a 2-0 push, to really change the momentum of a fight. You don't take it. And that's just maybe unlucky. Maybe the way the ball bounced today for SSG in Game 1. But there's still a lot to play. And that's the thing about a best of 5. Now these teams are going to have to adapt. It's not next game wins. It's next 2 games win. So you do have to have more up your sleeve than just one good map.
What makes Envy so scary as a team is how they play. They always draft pretty solidly for the most part. But the tactics, the way they position, the way they're able to maneuver around what you're trying to do is what makes them incredible.
Great matchup for Game 1. I can't wait to see Game 2, but let's break it down first at the desk.
Well, the big stat line that I was able to come up with was Envy has only played up against Khan twice, and that was the second iteration there. It looked like they had an idea after that first point of how to deal with him.
Pretty much on lock, in all honesty. The first point, as you mentioned, Shift, was taken pretty handily by Space Station Gaming. A bit of a brawl to begin with, and then Envy gets forced back. After that, it's Envy sort of figuring things out, going, okay, well, this is how we need to play around this. This is how we play around the Khan. This is how we position differently. Less near the edge, in all honesty, is the way that you play around Khan most of the time, but First and foremost, that objective time coming through for Inara must have been absolutely crazy for Envy, and it's 255 to 198 right there. I think on cast we heard this Inara is doing so much more than the Terminus in this circumstance, and it really just goes to show how valuable these Stigala are, but Inara on open maps can create so much cover for herself.
Absolutely.
She really definitely takes a cake.
Well, especially on that objective where you could throw an impasse wall and you can block yourself in a corner and break that cauterize, but also give yourself the survivability. But how about also, it was 36 total kills with 88 assists. That's incredible kill participation. When you have Rubu who can shell spin and find some peel, I think that's where you find that kill participation. You can obviously create opportunities on kills, but you can also help save your backline against characters like Maeve.
Rubu was playing such an incredible Makoa, and this is one of the clutch moments where Shellspin actually takes him back in just enough time. Such a close moment right there. And then able to come back out, find a double kill, looking to convert into a triple right there for Team Envy's winning play. And all fact, I don't know, Makoa just has such an impact on games when you have a player of the caliber of Rubu able to play that. When you have an Inara that you know is point security, Rubu can play them like a bruiser flanker in that circumstance, which is exactly what we saw, and opens up so much space for your backline carries to do a lot of work as well.
And again, it's the power of Makoa. He gets his little turtle twinkle toes right back on the edge of Frong Isle, able to get himself through. But again, this is a best of 5. Second map will take us to, you love it, I'm gonna let you say it.
Jaguar Falls.
Jaguar Falls. It's
There
the
we go.
raspiness and the smokiness you get when you say it too. It's not just the British pronunciation for me.
A little bit of both there. You've got to have some variety, right? Not just in your compositions, but in your pronunciations, in your intonation, everything that comes up, folks. And I'm excited to see what actually comes up in terms of picks for this specific map, as we did see Space Station take this pretty handily in their set versus Burrito, but again,
Very
they had
much
Makoa Maeve to their name. This time around, I doubt that's going to go their way. Team Envy might have something to put the brakes on there, and I think that actually that might be a Pip pick.
Ooh.
We've seen that come out as really sort of the tide turner for a lot of these teams. In actual fact, in the G2 esports game, we didn't see that with Team Envy really pulling that out until, again, Jaguar Falls, where they use Pip and Maldamba in combination to just disrupt their opposition.
And that's going to be interesting. You know, that extra burst healing that comes out of even a damage-based Pip is significant. And it can provide a second, and again, we've said it, possibly a third life. Kind of going through a cat's 9 lives when you have double support. You find yourself having extra survivability, and of course, that means extra impact. The Drogos and now Shaolin being taken away. I was about to say, do we find some extra different spicy bans coming out of SSG? It was the Genos last game. How about this Shaolin? How do you like it?
I think the Shaolin, that's just a target ban versus Rock Monkey right now. There's no other way to look at it to go. It's super valuable on this map. It's very good at almost solo flanking sometimes if you're able to get a bullseye reset here. Envy subsequently ban out Maeve, however.
So I guess at this point, the conversation is, if you're SSG, do you let Rubu get the Makoa again? And it looks like we have our answer. And Mr. Hayes with a big, smiley, shiny smile.
Because they get Makoa.
Yep.
There's no depth to go into here, folks. The analytics stop at Makoa. And that's it. Makoa and Grin. It's like it's the same reaction. I think that Phoenix pretty much pops on the Makoa suit every time you see that go through for Na'Vi right now, but this does mean that Space Station Gaming can get a hold of the Inara here. They also get a Cassie as well. 2 priority picks in this tournament that have also been featured banned at different times. Cassie much less so now, but a lot of value for the Impulse Cassie on a map like Jag.
Oh, for sure. And I'm actually a little bit curious to see who decides to take the Maldamba here, because again, we talked so much about how Inara can really benefit from Maldamba, not because of the 2 different sources of healing, but potentially also the Swift Spirits to give her that burst mobility very quickly.
It's really surprising to see an Inara zooming across the map at you, but that's one of the deficits of Inara actually, is the lack of mobility that she has. We often see point retakes actually against an Inara win out fights purely because she can't make it back to the objective in time if dismounted. Swift Spirits does help solve a little bit of that, but Envy answer back with a Sagala of their own, as well as a Bomb King, which they have a high degree of favor for on this map. It also strips it away from Freeze God.
Bomb King actually has not been picked up all that often by Envy. Of course, today it's been a big topic of conversation because Random Noob has looked absolutely stellar. Kind of the shades of Random Noob past, as we saw him play it in the first couple of days, only a couple of times.
And I feel like that's maybe because the Drogos is being taken away, recognizing that both of these champions have been high prioritization. We've seen Random Noob play stuff more like the Pip more recently, as well as the Bomb King, but also going so far as to play a lot more Drogos before Drogos has become a priority ban for this team. So now they're trying to get something online, but Space Station do pick up a Janus here. They're going for maybe that tri-DPS composition with spot healing coming through from a Pip pickup as well. So expect that disruption and that tide-turning ultimate of Evil Mojo to be a big player.
And I was about to say, I think if you're Envy, you're looking at this, and again, we were talking to Meta Pusher before of why the Androxus on Jag Falls, and he said, well, what else are we going to take? And I think we're finding ourselves in a similar conversation here as Androxus is currently hovered over. It will also allow them to get them out Damba if they so choose. But here's the thing, even though Space Station doesn't get what we were talking about, that Swift Spirits for Inara, it's kind of like an inverse effect because the Catalyst and that Explosive Flask out of Pip can actually slow people down.
And there we go. We have, looks like that's actually being locked in shift here as well. Catalyst slowing people down. The augment with the speed boost from Khan as well, from their battle shout, allowing them to close the gap might be good, but Space Station gaining the last pick. It looks like it's been changed over to a Buck here as well, hovering that, not locked just yet. There we go. The Androxus lock-in from Envy has come through. The Maldamba as well were confirmed picks, folks. So Envy's lineup has been now locked in. And Space Station do have a degree of flexibility for their last pick.
And this is interesting because we haven't seen Space Station pull the triple DPS really all that often. And I think that as you look forward for the longevity of this tournament, you kind of have to, I think, have it at some point in time. Envy has not shown it once. This is one of our first iterations of Space Station doing it. Will it be the damage explosive enough, though, or will the explosions from random noob control the tide? Nick, Evan, what do you guys think?
I think that Buck was a very big switch up from what they were attempting to do with the Khan. This is going to be make or break for them, in my opinion.
I hope that's not signs of like indecision though for Space Station.
Feels like it.
It's a best of 5. You've got time. Don't panic. You've got plenty of games to give here. One more before their backs are even up against the wall. And I think it's notable. You know, that's what Fnatic are stomping people with is these 3 DPS comps, and no one else has been doing it. So Space Station, like Alan said, kind of the first iteration that we're getting to see. I think they have the roster to be able to pull this off pretty easily with Ares. That's where he got his start, was on the DPS.
Yeah, I think so too. I do think that Ares is definitely in the driver's seat to be able to make a great performance. And I wonder if he'll go the way we saw Fuzzy Logic run with the Ensnare Buck, which is obviously adding a lot of damage amp to the conversation, but not as much tankiness. And against what Envy do so well, which is 2 tanks, and they don't go away from it, I always question when a team switches up mid-set after it's been working all tournament.
That's my big question, too, is where exactly does Ares go? I don't see him playing the Pip over Freeze God. Maybe the Cassie. Midtow, I think, likes to play both Buck and Cassie, so this is actually kind of a very flexible G2-y draft for Space Station, where a lot of people could go a lot of different ways.
Yeah. I honestly think this is going to go the way of Ares. I think it's going to be his Buck, but you could see Midtown on there, and I think you could see Ares on the Cassie. I think if the Buck comes in, the real thing I'm looking for is just pressure. Can he close out kills? You're going to have Cassie poke, but the thing that's been missing is Ruba's getting away with low health. You're seeing Rockman getting away with low health, making these big plays. They need someone to just jump in and just, you're going to back to base. We have a 4v5. We have a 4v2, and then have a chance to just get some momentum.
It's a very stylistic choice with Buck, the way you play it. There's 2 different builds, even 2 sides. We saw Fuzzy play kind of like a mid-range backliner almost Buck with the Ensnare. We've seen guys like Bittner who just, he says it, I'm just making space. I'm not really getting kills. I'm doing a ton of damage, and then I just stall as long as I can. Midtow has, when playing it, gone for more of the Bittner-y style and just sets up and lets FRZ God have this incredible moment, this crescendo.
Right.
But he's on the Pip. I don't know if he's the crescendo guy for them this time around.
Well, you do have to talk about that because I think Pip he's my biggest player in this game. That's what you're hinging this draft on. You take the Genos, then you go Pip. That means you're not really running a double tank. You're not offsetting with a traditional DPS. And so the utility, the way his Bittner played it on Jaguar Falls, it's amazing. And I was talking to Rock Monkey. He said literally any champion, any DPS can work here. You can run Pip. You can run Androx. You can run Shaolin. You can run Cassie. You can run Leon. You can run Maeve. You can run any champion you want on Jaguar Falls.
It's like it's wide open. It's up to the players to kind of make the game and tell the story themselves. Fnatic's Pip, their DPS Pip specifically, did look awesome on this map. They've got the Genos backing it up as well. They've got everything they need to make FRZ God turn this from, that off support into a real carry.
And this Moxie has been a really interesting pick, and it's something I keep saying I'm going to do a video on this, but I actually am going to, and this is going to be my next one that I talk about that's more explanatory. But around the Cauterize and the Rejuvenate effects, the 1-to-1 that those cards are applying, it's not just 50% below health, your 50% threshold. It's 50% countering off of that 90% application that's happening to you. It's like saying, okay, when you drop below 50%, you get Reju 5 now. And that means that you're getting 50% of the heal you would have gotten pre-Cauterize back in your kit. So instead of getting, 200 back because it's only 100 now, you're getting 500, you're 600. 800, and that is really giving Pip the opportunity to have double lives, and we've seen how impactful that can be.
You're changing the game with your quick maths on me.
Quick math.
And I think the conversation around Rejuvenate, you always have to remember, hell yeah, it counters Cauterize, but even when Cauterize isn't applied to you, it still does its
still
thing.
does more than that.
That's where you get those 3,700 Mega Potions onto Inara. It still will juice you up if you're not careful. So Cauterize has to be tightly applied to this SSG lineup, because we've even seen non-Mega Potion Pips have these instrumental heals when Rejuvenate's in play.
And I wonder if we're going to see a Mega Potion Pip. I believe this will be Catalyst, because that's the role
I think so.
it's participating in. But we've seen Damba. We saw a little bit of Renegades. They threw some spikes at us. They went with a Genos, and they went with a Damba and a Mega Potion Pip, 2 surplus healers. And it ended up actually working for them in some of these lineup plays. So I'm excited to see this draft. I think this is going to give us a lot of information. If you can't play it, you're going to have to ban it against Fnatic, because they can play it. So either way, you have to know how to make this work.
Pip could go on to be huge in this set if it's impactful here in game number 2 of our first best of 5 here at the Masters LAN. We've got, of course, Envy up against SSG, Space Station Gaming, the new hotness.
Space Station!
Out of Brazil, Rubu, Random, Rock. All the R's coming through for Envy. Tolki holding it down on the young Toymanis. Here's a loadout for Ares, who looks like he's playing the bulk up.
And I want to stress how important, I say Deep Breath all the time, but Rapid Sustain is really what makes this build. Deep Breath is good. Rapid Sustain makes it great. That healing is...
Everything you just said about Moxie,
exactly.
apply.
Apply that to Buck's healing. So that's the difference. That's how he becomes like unkillable. So if you're running Deep Breath and going bulk up, you have to put Rapid Sustain in your deck. So change that right now in your game. I still have yet to do that, because I just keep being a doofus. And Space Station Gaming here, they're not that, so they're going to run away, and Ares is showing the Mutu patience right there.
Mutu patience. He's still on his horse. I think Tolki's still on his horse, too, running in circles on the objective. As Envy stack up 45% for free. Now he's getting involved. Now he's swinging the axe. But the first blood, it's already gone to Space Station. Rock finds the quick answer back.
Dude, this is all Space Station Gaming. This is a perfect style of aggression. They wait, they stay on their mounts, and then all of a sudden they say, it's go time.
I would have loved for them to have been able to get those kills, capitalize onto the Makoa as well. He's still low HP. They answer back in a big way, 69% and climbing, but Envy are here. Ultimates are starting to get close for this Pip. He's at 75% already.
I got to tell you, Freeze God's play right there, I didn't like it very much, but it works out for him. If Tolki's a little bit closer, he's dead, because he uses the waitlist to aggress there. He doesn't need to do that. You can walk. You have enough time, but Space Station Gaming, basically 100-0 this point fight.
And you know what? That sends a message, too, because Envy do that thing that, you know, the favored teams do, where they just sit on the objective and they say, move us. And Space Station go, okay. And they punch him in the face, and they win that fight and then take the objective. And now Envy have to get up and be like, oh, okay, guys, they're here to play.
I mean, when you saw the way Fuzzy Logic's Zen played, you said, well, why hasn't Zen been picked so much? He could still do things like this. When you see Pip ignored in almost 90% of the drafts here and only Fnatic using it, you say, why are people picking up more Pip? It's because he does things like this so much, he cannot be ignored, and his ultimate's the best in the game, if not one of the best. Random Noob trading out with Ares there, but that's that chicken. It's falling. That's a Stagala you got for 1,500 HP.
And dude, he got it charged in 1 minute and 45 seconds. We've seen First Bloods take longer than it's taken Freeze God to charge his ultimate this game.
And again, he's back at 35. It's just the level of ease that he has with the catwalks on Jaguar Falls in particular. He's got 2 great vantage points on push and on the objective that allow him to be so successful here. And that's how Ares is staying alive. Again, that Rapid Sustain, that Deep Breath, these 2 cards are giving him that second life. And now the King Bomb coming in, they know something has to happen, but Random Noob can't find a great target yet, and he's not going to get this off.
And you're right, just going to call it off. He made a lot of space. He forced Space Station to go out, and maybe that's okay. Maybe that's the right way to do it. I think you can afford, frankly, to trade 1-for-1 at this moment because you're so close to your own spawn, and that trade would have been worth it for the defense. Stylistic choices here. 55 seconds left on the clock for Tolki to make a decision of his own. Does he pop his ultimate? Space Station, like, backed up like he was gonna, but he did.
Oh, yeah, they totally did. Random Noob, he's dead to rights. No way he's getting out of that one.
97.
FRZ got on a 9 streak as well. We know how devastating this Pip is because, again, you look at the damage, you look at the explosive flash, 2 abilities that are just undeniable. What do you do when you get Able Mojo'd right now? Because I think it's going to happen.
Nice,
I don't know if I'm a fortune teller or if I just know exactly what needs to happen there because
I love it.
There's absolutely no way to stop this.
That was 3 evil mojos that round, dude. That all resulted in kills pretty much onto Tolkien exclusively. But my goodness gracious, they come out swinging. Space Station Gaming. They are not ready to go down without a fight in this set, though Envy do lead them 1 game. They're superior at the moment. SSG, I mean, they thrashed Burrito on Jag Falls, and I think they're doing the same to Envy here.
Listen, I think Pip personally, in my Pip, I almost went into Pip's voice.
You're a Pipian?
My opinion is that if you play Pip, you are counting on yourself to carry. You're counting on yourself to have a great game. And it's a rough thing to do when you're expecting to just build a lineup that's safe, that everyone has the same amount of control over whether you win. FRZ God is not willing is willing to say, guys, I'm going to put this on my shoulders here. I need to heal you. I need to slow. I need to get my ultimates off. I need to make things happen. But when I do, we're going to win.
Not letting them get capture for free this time around. They know Terminus doesn't have his ultimate.
God.
They blow him up. No weightless cooldown. It doesn't matter. FRZ God's just going right through you, Rubu.
What am I watching? That is a full team wipe. And I got to say, if that's not, I mean, that's a pause from Rubu, but he's going to need more than that.
Quick.
That's a I'm mad pause.
Freeze God like kind of looked at him like, are you kidding me right now,
He's
bro?
like, I'm mad pause, and now I realize that's against the rules pause, so let me unpause.
They're trying to ice the kicker, so to speak, but you can't freeze God.
Ooh, he's already frozen. That's right, 78% and counting. And it's been real hard to take space from Space Station Gaming at this point. I'm not sure if Envy's going to even make it back, but there it is. Tolkien comes around. He finds a kill on a Dyran, and that is no Luminary. So maybe this is the difference.
Death awaits just one person from Space Station Gaming. So many free shots for Rock. Rashal looks like he just walked off the edge there. The overtime is started in favor of SSG. They have to win this fight now.
Oh my God, Somersault saves Metal's life. He gets a kill on the Tolkien. He's still alive. He goes into the scout. He's got the movement speed, the CC immunity. He's still alive. How did Metal stay in this fight? This man is pulling some heroics. He says, stop talking about Freeze God. I'm the #1 GM in the world, and he gets another big kill. Freeze God shows up, and this through time and space, it's just cleanup.
Oh my goodness, and it's Midtow going massive in this fight. He finally gets cut short, but 52% on this Evil Mojo. Shots in the air. Tolkien can't even get his shatter fall off. The spray, the style. SSG came to play.
And I think that's deserving. And look at this smart play right here. He's going to drop off. He knows he has a streak. 22 is one of those special numbers where you can give back pretty much a full ultimate to someone.
If you guys ain't going to do it, I'll do it for you.
Yeah, and so he's like, you guys can't kill me. I'm really the only one who can. Channeling a little bit of that Cuss Cutie conversation there. But this is for real. They really can't kill him.
Ooh, huge shot as well right after the nether steps. Beautiful tracking from Midtow there. And they both stepped up. Both of these hyper carries from Space Station Gaming have had such great moments. And you know, you got to think it's not that glamorous style of Buck playing from Ares, but it is serving an important purpose.
And let's just look at some KDAs, please. Let's get some of these things on the board so that before this game ends, because it's very close to ending, I want to see how well they've done. Dyran, 25-1. Midtow, 22-2. Rachao, 19-1. Freeze God, 24-1. Ares, I mean, he's 11-3, but still doing a fantastic job.
Doing the dirty work.
And doing the dirty work, like you mentioned, Nick. I mean, what a good flex to have on your team.
Nothing from that King Bomb either. Death awaits you all, but I think Midtow's got a beautiful angle on this back line to play with.
Oh, Rock, it's just too late. It's too late, and it's a beautiful flex, beautiful finish. If Midtow finds anything
you just
here...
live here.
Yeah, seriously. Oh, baby! Midtow finding a double. Tolkien knows he can't do anything. You know he's got to come back, so you have to prepare for that. Is the wall ready? Oh, Ares takes a little bit of damage from that. He's too focused on the back line, and that might cause a disruption.
And that's big ultimates from Team Envy. They've used the Dread Serpent, the Accursed Arm, the King Bomb, the Reanimate, just to hold on. And they are holding on by a thread. 46 seconds for SSG to find this one through, to get the 4-0 and to send a message to Envy. They're going to lose Midtow there. They don't have any ultimates, so we're going to see a little bit of a calm here in the next 30 seconds.
Is this more of a big deal than the way Envy won? Does this say something more about the set than Envy's first victory?
I think for sure. I mean, this is dominance, right? Envy, solid win for sure, but they did not roll over Space Station by any means.
And I think this Pip, something that you're going to have to look at on Jaguar Falls at least. This needs to be in the conversation. And any team that's playing right now in the next phase is going to have a good Pip. So I expect to see him banned. Picked Ares, beautiful tracking of random noob midair. And that Evil Mojo, it's coming.
Envy are cut in half right now, Evan. They don't have any coordination. They move consistently into the back line, though, as one unit, but that forces out Ancient Rage. That's just the position that Envy is in, though. They can't afford to risk saving ults here.
And these guys are playing for not just this win, Nick. They're playing for so much more than that. again, another little bit of an unpause. A little BM back, you got to say. Or not. Maybe they actually do need something, and that is going to bring us back here for just a moment. Kenneth checking in on that, one of the Bellafroid boys. Do a lot of work with us on the Paladins console side, adminning that all the way from Belgium, and now flown here for this event. Great to hang out with them. But just look at the kind of the differences in the rooms a little bit. Paul's got this, like, what's exactly going on, guys?
He's holding his headset. I think they're just trying to get on the same page as well. There's been a couple little pauses back and forth, so something may be going on in the set here. And right now, it's Envy kind of getting handled at the moment. And SSG, though, they don't get that conversion. They get so much for it. I think they got all 5 ultimates there. I don't think Envy have anything available going into what could be this final fight. They do have the comeback mechanic, but that's about it.
Like, I think there's nothing to worry about, obviously. You still got 2 games left. If you tie this one, let's assume this goes to Space Station. You still have both teams need to win, too. So, you got plenty of time. But this doesn't feel like you've got plenty of time. The way that Space Station have just erupted like a volcano. You saw those pictures from Hawaii's volcano erupting like a couple weeks ago. Like that, you're like, game over. I don't know if there is a house around. Hopefully you have lava insurance. And I heard that's actually much more expensive than fire insurance. But if you're in Hawaii, you need it. I'm not sure if they have Space Station insurance right now.
I imagine so. And here's that miracle play. Well, this is like kind of after the boy who lived. He gets the reset. He gets the rollout. That's what we're talking about, though. It's just a Catalyst pip. The impact of that 1200 heal, the implications of it, are what allows Mitao to go on to do this.
And again, that first reset is Somersault. So that's a part of his loadout. And that's a card that allows him, very much like the Shimmer from Shaolin that we pointed out, to just reset his dash. And, it ends up paying off. This is one big play as well. He gets hit by a lot. He gets hit by a bomb from Random Noob, but he finds the play. And one of the things I noticed about Mitao is he just keeps going. He really doesn't lose focus, even though he's under pressure offensively.
Carrying all those ranked games will do that to you. It's very.
Can we duo?
It's a very play for
Mitao, please.
Play for myself type of Cassie too, which is, I like that hat, by the way. I'm gonna try to scoop one of those.
He's actually pretty stylish, dude.
Yeah.
I think people are fans of this guy's.
I mean, no one's topping Chroma Space's jerseys though.
No, that's true. This would go really nicely with that.
Yeah, definitely. Love the SSG org, love their colors, love what they're about, love what they've done at this event. It's really, really exciting to see. And I think this is an important event for them. And for FreezeGod in particular, talking with some of the Burrito guys, they say, he lives in a pretty strict household, and they need a solid performance here. Hopefully they crack the finals so he can go and say, look what we've done here. We're really kind of a contender in this scene. We're winning a lot of money. We're having a lot of success. So many people are loving and enjoying what we're doing here. So I'm almost happy that it's Space Station making this run over Burrito.
Yeah, I mean, what's really cool, too, is, as us being basketball fans, powered by the Utah Jazz now in collaboration with them. They had a great playoff run. Their owner, Sean Duras, has been very active in our community. Space Station's been very community-oriented and really fallen in with Smite and with Paladins in a really unique way. One of those that make you say that there's something special about the way that they're handling this business, and it's showing up. Their guys feel so confident. It feels like a camaraderie moment. And my other point I was making, they're not playing for just themselves now. They're Latam brothers. Yeah. They beat them in that last game, and you could tell that they're carrying that I don't know, pride into this.
Definitely.
set.
There's a lot of it. And talking about kind of the Utah Jazz, the guy who owns the Renegades, pronunciation, I think it's Jonas Yarkbo or something like that. He owns the Renegades now, plays for the Jazz. It's funny to watch maybe his influence play a little bit into it there, saying, hey, this game is pretty cool, actually.
Hey, check it out. I like what I'm seeing. So much depth. And, when you really leave Paladins to just a naked eye, you watch and you say, that's a lot going on. But when you take a second, you play the game, you download it, you look and you say, there's more than I thought to this game. And when you look at the minutia of moments that happen in this, where you have, somersaults changing the difference, when you have cards like Moxie differentiating whether you live or die, you can see how important it is to dive deep into the loadouts, dive deep into, the potential counters, because it's not just what you're playing, it's what your enemies are playing as well.
That's the beauty of this game, and as the champion pool just increases, more members joining the cast, more cards getting changed, brought into viability, the possibilities just become endless, and that's why we're seeing such a great diversity where, like, this game is a good example. Ruckus unpicked, unbanned. 90% of the other sets, he's one of the bans or nearly first pick. It's just that crazy how these guys can play such different styles.
And I wonder how this draft works. 'Cause, I mean, I think obviously the pip was taken. The Ruckus unpicked, unbanned. You can expect, like, say, first a Fnatic or a Na'Vi. You ban a Makoa, you ban a Ruckus. They ban like a Shaolin or a Cassie, right? And they maybe force you ban the Cassie or you give it up to us. And maybe sometimes Knesset goes in. But then Maeve's on the board. You've got your Makoa on the board. You've got Inara on the board. And I just wonder how these things adjust, especially knowing that, Pips become a conversation. Cons become a conversation. Maeve has become a huge conversation. And just like, I think we are just as surprised as how these drafts are going to go as the players are.
And I think you have to look at these sets as these individual little units and talk about, okay, who's going off today, right? There's 2 incredible Drogos players in the set. That's why that ban is warranted, and it's Jaguar Falls. You have to take each game, each draft, each pick as it comes to you, and you have to be playing off of, who's doing well, who's feeling good.
Yeah, and when you feel this good, especially with Spacestation Gaming leading 3-0, it's hard to slow your momentum with a long pause like this. I don't know what happened, but this is not in the favor, I'd say, of Spacestation.
No.
I think this is definitely in the favor of Envy to get their bearings back and to have a little bit of a team communication apply. It's like soccer, right? Sometimes there's no halftime, and you have to wait 45 minutes so you can have a conversation.
Is this when you fake that injury to get your team?
Ow! Ow! Ow!
Guys, Evan needs help. So this Makoa, by the way, I don't know about your ankle.
I'm good. I'm good. And you have those moments that you don't get unless somebody makes a hard foul. Somebody has a big free kick. Somebody has a corner kick that you could talk back. But it's just those things that you hope for, but you can't really plan. And this is actually something that, if you're an Envy fan, might be really helping them here.
They're getting plenty of time to talk about what's going wrong, but there's this phase, and Paladins, thankfully, isn't a game that really has this, but, watching a lot of Smite, there are points where games are over. Yeah. And you need to, I think, maybe recognize and start talking about the next one. This is a best of 5. This is probably going to go the distance if these first 2 games have told us anything. These teams are dominant on their map picks, and it's going to come down to a little bit what Kanga said. Maybe the playing field will level out a little bit as we get to the weirder stuff that we haven't gotten to see this tournament because, again, this is the first best of 5.
Yeah, I think, when you talk about a game being over, it is different in Smite because there are just resources that are down, that are up. This is one where, in many ways,
Smite doesn't have a comeback mechanic.
Imagine if you got the Fire Giant every time you went down by 20,000 gold. That would be a different,
just a free one,
a free Fire Giant. So that would be kind of what the comeback mechanic is. You just get really about 30% more of a faster capture. So Envy will be working off of that. If they get 1 wipe, they will most likely win this point off of a neutral zone. And a lot of this is going to be. Are you kidding me? We're seeing an incitement. Is this an incitement, Cassie?
A Lamau. I mean, it's still,
is it exaction?
It's still good. No, I don't think it's exaction. Was it?
It might be, man.
Oh my goodness gracious. Well, Rubu's going to take a spell very early on, unable to get that reset there. Midtow gets flanked by Rock Monkey. And a Cursed Arm that's just going to buy him his own life, but then flying back in. FRZ God comes in like a bat out of hell.
And it's a great play, and Rock Monkey does everything in his power to just stay alive, and he does. That's a huge moment there. Dread Serpent on the right side. Aries gets low. Can't quite get it. Random Noob is one shot, but the Dread Serpent's still there, and it takes away Freeze God's ability to get fear. He just does not want to run into any of that, but Random Noob again dies in a King Bomb.
39% for SSG. But Envy are here. They've got the comeback mechanic. They are capping quickly. Space Station looking for a crack. Tulky dumps a ton of Calamity Blast into mid-tower, but he survives.
Oh, and that's a missed through time and space from Diamond. Now Freeze God is under a little bit of pressure, but Rock Monkey mid-air. He's got a reversal. He's just going to dodge it and go back. Tolkien now forcing the reanimate. He's got to find an answer here. He gets a full explosive flask onto 3 members. There's the reanimate, but it's a beautiful play. Ryra Chow, he has the wall, and he will not stay down for long, and Freeze God somehow is alive.
Charge, he's got the Evil Mojo overtime burning in favor of Envy, but an Evil Mojo will connect for the first time. They're unable to fry the chicken, so to speak. Rashal's going to go down on the objective for it, and I think Envy just may have won this fight.
And I can't believe this right now, but Midtow is going to keep on fighting. Team Envy 99%. He's got to find a big kill, and it's going to be on Rubu, but Rubu with the Ancient Rage, he's going to stand on there, and he just can't dodge in time. It is not enough, and there it is. Team Envy pull this one back after what seemed like a 5 to 6 minute pause. Find some momentum again.
That's the big shift. That's the hard stop that Envy needed. They had plenty of time to talk about what's going on there. And while we have a little bit of a moment, I'd kind of like to take a quick peek at the talent screen and see what this Cassie is going, because we haven't seen an exaction Cassie in a long. No, it's still Impulse.
So it's
there,
still Impulse,
which threw me off because that blast shot that we watched, like right when we were having that conversation, only hit for like 450, which is like not the typical damage for the Impulse Cassie. But even still, it's still good just to have that mobility, and it's like a very stylistic thing to do, right? Cassie loadouts are not hard and fast.
No, that is true. And Rachel, however, getting the hard and fast trip to Pain Lane. It's a beautiful reversal lands and allows Rock Monkey to reset his dashes again. He punches just for security. But this is Team Envy wiping.
Rocco's playing in the trees a lot today.
He is. Rocco's
young monkey.
modern life.
Young monkey. I have been so close to saying that so many times, but I've never found a way that I liked to work that in.
Yeah, I mean, how was that?
So I applaud you.
Not bad, right?
I'm happy that we're on the same page there.
All right. Yeah, that's a great show. And a little odd, but a great show as well. Dyron here with it through time and space. He's got the possibility, but I think they're going to let it through. I mean, they're going to try to defend here, but I don't think they're going to commit ultimates is what I'm saying.
Enemy triple kill.
And Toki, that's Terminus's scenario he was designed to succeed in, so it's going to be pretty easy. Toki, Mechanical God, landing all of his Terminus auto attacks.
Is that Fox?
Doesn't miss a single one.
Holding the top of the old gyro. Somebody's got to tell that guy that you only need to hold the bottom.
I didn't see it at all.
You know that gyro thing we have
know.
for the iPhone?
That's a very Vox thing to do.
He's holding the top of it. That's the whole point. It stabilizes itself. It's all right.
He's European. He doesn't know how things work over here.
That's not an excuse. That's not an excuse.
You know, it's like the Australians. They think they need to bring their harnesses here so they don't fall off the globe. Everything's backwards for these boys across the world. A lot of resilience coming through down the stretch for Space Station Gaming. None for Team Envy, despite the Evil Mojo, despite the seismic crash. I feel like they have enough, I think, in their load. Like Terminus probably has it in the loadout. Noob probably has it in his loadout. Rock Monkey Rubu probably has it in his loadout there, so they don't need to buy it from the store.
Big duel happening on the right-hand side through time and space as well, and he jumps up.
The wall?
Oh, the chicken jukes right there, and they go through. Rachel might go down here. The Earthen Guard is keeping him so healthy. Freeze God finds random noob, but that's another amazing Dread Serpent from Mr. Hayes, who sets things up for Tolkien to be able to apply pressure and push all of Space Station Gaming back.
I can't believe Envy are fighting their way back. They were pretty much on the objective that whole time as well, so they're already out to a crazy lead, 72%. What a turnaround this would be if Space Station end up holding an L.
Well, they know exactly where Rock is now, so that's a problem. Rachel, he's not going to get bursted. I love how he forces him in the air. I think a Cursed Arm is coming. Ares here over on the left side. Rubu pops out of the Shell Shield. He's not going to have that. Frozen God finds random noob as a result, but Rachel goes down thanks to the pressure. Here is a big moment, and it's Freeze God taking control. He finds 2 kills. He goes to the Evil Mojo. He's trying to find another. He is solo, gets himself healed up. He gets another one. Tolkien, though, finding a double kill, but Rock Monkey is down, and then Tolkien with the triple. Tolkien almost with the quadra, and Team Envy, they pull it back.
They just have the legs to go the distance there. That is a pop-off victory if I've ever seen one from Envy. They know how close that was. They know what that means to bring that game back set-wise, talking about the momentum already so much going their way after that timeout.
And I knew this was going to be something that played in the favor of Envy.
That's a crushing defeat for Space Station.
It's crushing. Such a good performance, and you just want to play off of that. And this is something that is very similar, actually, happened to, it's so weird, because this exact same thing on Frozen Guard against Envy happened to Burrito. And it was that moment right before Rock Monkey shimmered twice. And
something's fishy.
Something's in the water.
Something's fishy here. Envy's tampering with equipment. What a headline that
What a headline there. I'm sure some journalists will report on that. But first off, it's 2-0, although it doesn't feel like that for Team Envy.
Well, that was one heck of a jaw-breaking fight at the end.
Yeah, just going to have to sort of put my jaw back into place after it dropped with the back-to-back triple kills in that last point fight. That was incredible stuff, folks. But Team Envy just had their hand around Space Station's throat from about halfway through that game, and they would not let go.
Yeah, and again, these are moments for Envy that you have to look at the resiliency of this squad. I mean, this was all Space Station's game for a lot of it up until the end. Tolkien's able to help secure that payload push, but then on top of that, he reanimates, he finds all of those kills at the very end in the face of FRZ God, who my goodness, he's starting to really show the latter portion of his name, that God status. He finds 2. That Big Evil Mojo almost turns the fight by himself. Not quite enough gusto, though, in the potion launcher to make it happen.
And I think that was partially to do with the fact that the Evil Mojo was used when Freeze God was very low on health, and Pip's potion launcher does deal self-damage, folks, so if you're not being careful about target prioritization, still able to find 1 kill off the back of that.
Right.
But just due to the fact that you're so close to those potion launchers, you didn't want to end up killing himself in the progress. And unfortunately, little things like that, a little bit more health, or maybe even acumen in your loadout for some lifesteal there might have been the difference.
Yeah, very well could have, but regardless, the stats are as they are. That's going to be Envy walking with Rock Monkey having a great performance. This is interesting. I'm going to hit you with this stat real quick. Envy's now played Androxus 3 different times. Rock Monkey is now 2-1 in his tournament on it. Do you think that this could potentially be one of their biggest pros coming into these final couple of games?
Just the Androxus pick itself?
Yeah.
It's really difficult to say. The Androxus feels like a, well, what else are we going to go with pick? Which is what I think you'd mentioned Metapusher was talking to you about, Envy's coach, at one point when you had the opportunity to ask him about it. The Androxus pick feels good. It doesn't feel like I'd rather have it over something like a Charlene or a Xin. However, with both of those being banned out by Space Station, it's kind of next in line.
Sure, absolutely. Then the other thing was, this is the first time we've seen Space Station running a 1 frontline 3 DPS. Ares, although performed amicably on the Buck, they've used Buck now 3 straight times, and all 3 times they've played Jaguar Falls. It's only worked the 1 time so far.
Right.
Is that something that you might say maybe back to the drawing board with, or do you like the pickup to kind of give it a 3 DPS look?
I like the pickup here. I don't think the Buck is necessarily the problem with this composition, because Buck actually activates their recovery, gets a lot of damage reduction if you're running Deep Breath, and it sort of acts as a pseudo frontliner for those few seconds when you can just absorb a lot of incoming fire. The problem that I see with the Buck in this specific lineup is that it's a very sort of early game snowball pick. The later on it gets, the more your recovery is kind of cauterized. The more difficulty you have coming back in, the more it's a case of you transition to more of a glass cannon roll, where you jump in, you use your Buck Wild, you get a kill, you get out, maybe. And that's a slight problem when you're dealing with a team which is Makoa, Bomb King, Terminus, Androxus, and Maldamba, which, if anything, just gets stronger in the late game, because Makoa's Ancient Rage never loses value. No matter how much cauterize you have, that turtle is going to be sitting at full health. They got a lot of it.
A lot of it. Yeah, the Leviathan on top of it, my goodness. It's just, how do you chew through the shield and the shell and just the overall HP
This
pool?
turtle is thick like custard right now. And Terminus as well with the reanimate, just getting a second life in there. It's a strategy that we're seeing from a lot of teams coming through with. They have this sort of get out of jail free clause. It's the Fernando Immortal in combination with a Whirlwind, which we saw G2 execute previously as well. It's that reanimate. It's that Makoa's Ancient Rage, where you just pop straight back into the fight and you reset. And if the enemy team doesn't back off, you pretty much are able to overwhelm them, because you got, well, double the health pools that they have.
Right, and this Makoa in specific, Space Station in their banning phase has been the most okay with letting specifically just frontliners go through. They've only banned Makoa once, and now with that loss, they are 1-3 when going up against Makoa. Do you think that ban mindset needs to change?
I think that with the fact of the matter is that Space Station probably also want the Makoa right now. We saw how well they performed with the Makoa versus Burrito previously in the set just before this, so they might be sort of edging their bets on what else can we give you that makes the Makoa less appetizing. Is, do you want this or do you want that? Do you want the the bar of chocolate, or do you want the bar of chocolate covered in gold? Which at this point is kind of the main.
Covered in gold for me.
With all the gold on my fingers.
Get out of here. I don't know what you're doing that get gold on your fingers. I'm going to take that literally.
Been watching too much Worth It, folks. Been watching too much Worth It. But regardless, we're off to Serpent Beach next shift, so I'm really excited to see how this map goes down. Again, a lot of the picks that we've seen so far still retain a lot of value on this map. The Makoa is always valuable because it's a dredge anchor with a turtle attached, but also you can split that, you can pull people down from high ground to low ground, and that's really where so much of the value comes in here. The Maeve, almost so super valuable, but consistent bans for the last couple of games have been Drogo's twice for Team Envy at this point, and that's another big one, which I'm wondering at this point if they'll go, do we maybe want to go more for the Drogos instead of a Bomb King on this map? What do we want to let through? So far, so good, but I feel like Envy are probably going to end up letting either the Drogos or the Maeve through this draft, just based on the fact that it's so valuable for them on this map.
Right, and you talk about a map like Serpent Beach, you look at FRZ God playing the Pip for one of the first times so far this tournament, and he plays absolutely lights out. And now let's talk more about this Pip, because Pip on Serpent Beach is absolutely a recipe for success. And if he's able to do what he does here on a very level and flat and very corner-heavy Jaguar Falls, talk to me about the potential of this Pip pickup, not necessarily just for Space Station, but potentially also for Envy on a map like Serpent Beach.
Well, simply put, Pip just excels the more elevation you have over your opponents. It's like the Willow folks. You shoot the ground around people's feet, the potions hit multiple people. If you shoot down on people, they're easier for you to hit. But it's also the disruption on a map like Serpent Beach, where the point is relatively exposed in a sort of Dust Bowl format, where if you're able to slow the player who's contesting the objective with your explosive flask, everybody can focus them down proportionally much more easily. Now, the one thing we haven't talked about so far, and was actually banned out during the Frog Isle game by both teams, is snipers.
Yeah.
Serpent Beach is a map where we did see snipers for quite some time coming through, especially when repositioned Knessa first picked up popularity, but not so much more recently. We saw it run a little bit yesterday, for example, with Kanga Esports doing that, but I'm wondering if that'll come out again this time, if that's something which Spacestation might have up their sleeves after they talked about maybe even running snipers on Jag Falls.
Oh yeah, that's very interesting indeed, but we'll find out exactly what we're going to be dealing with as we jump into the picks and bans. And again, I think, you know, yes, this last map on Jaguar Falls, the first time Space Station's run the triple DPS. I don't think because you lost that map, you say, all right, we're not playing triple DPS anymore.
Right, I think it's very map dependent, and also
very
very
much so.
composition dependent. Is what are you looking to counter, what are you looking to draft with? I feel like it's a little bit more reactionary with triple DPS for Space Station right now, rather than the, hey, this is what we'll do because of XYZ. But so far, bans coming out as Team Envy takes for the third time in a row first pick. Maven Drogo's for Envy, Space Station Makoa so far, that appear to be the problem.
Yeah, and this is interesting that Space Station continues to kind of prefer that second and third overall draft spot position with the picks. It will be this again. This is a little bit more what I would hope to see from Space Station. The Makoa's been a problem. You're not going to get it. Take it away. What else don't you want to face up against? Again, we talk about how aerial assault, particularly on Ruckus here, can be big as far as him getting on the high ground. And for me personally, when I look at this map, is can you keep the frontliners from getting up on the high ground? That usually is the cause for recipe for success or failure, depending if you're on defense or a pushing attack.
Well, Cassie goes through to Envy to start off with Shift and trying to keep the frontliners off the high ground, and Nara can traverse that relatively well, so that's a problem for Envy, but Space Station also drafted Knessa very, very early on, and this is a risky pickup right now. This early on with the Knessa, when they have last pick, does this feel like a bait to you, saying, well, I dare you to take flankers?
It could be a couple of things. Yes, number one, that absolutely could be the case. But the other is, you know, Knessa, as you mentioned, can be very powerful in this map because of their ability to reposition with teleport, especially to go from low ground to high ground to left to right, wherever you need to be to find the line of sight. So I'm actually kind of okay with the Knessa this early. It just comes down for me of what do you combo it with? Inara, again, it doesn't show much. This could be another solo Inara, and she does do pretty decently at sustaining a point by herself simply because everybody else is focused on controlling high ground here.
Oh, she's so difficult to kill that why even bother looking at her until the rest of the team is dead? But it's a Maldamba. Good synergy there. And a Buck as well, which is hovered but not yet locked for Space Station Gaming.
I
The
think
Buck is locked in.
I think with this lock-in, I think this is SSG saying we're playing triple DPS. At least in some fashion. It might very well come down to a pip again, but Envy has the potential of taking it as well. That's the scary thing is, did you take the Buck a little bit too early, or are you just trying to keep the Buck from going up against you? That's more what it feels like, the latter more than the former.
And Envy could do very well actually with the Pip right now. They could do very, very well with the Pip and also a Charlene, which notably has been left open this entire time. Envy loves these picks, but they're going to go for double frontline on a more spread out map, and also they're going to pick up the Immortal Fernando as well, which is a phenomenal ultimate from that self-proclaimed knight, which is great for removing tempo from a team. They invest so much. Maybe they invest a Buck Wild in, you use Immortal. If somebody jumps on in or tries to contest the objective, you use your Evil Mojo as well. Envy has drafted a team full of ultimates basically, which put the game in your favor significantly. They allow you to take the wind out of your opponent's sails. Absolutely,
but you also have a Nara that can reduce a lot of those ultimates, specifically Evil Mojo, just by having that damage reduction from Mother's Grace. And SSG's taking their time at this last pick. I think they really wanted the Pip. If I were to put a guess out there, if you were just to kind of...
I would agree.
Ventriloquist your way into those comms, I think they were saying we really want the Pip as our last pick.
And what do you have left? I mean, maybe the Bomb King, right, if you still want a form of aerial damage. But
Charlene as well, yeah.
Charlene will be picked up, and I like this pick specifically for being able to box out versus the Cassie. Also, great shield killer, and right now Space Station Gaming doesn't really have any of that, so this will be able to deal with a Fernando. And honestly, I'm expecting the Charlene to be, you see the Fernando shield, just use Planted, get rid of it immediately, and then open up your team to be able to perform so much better when their damage doesn't have a safety net of this big shield in front of them.
Well, on top of that too, again, this is now the second time we're seeing triple DPS. Ares, we can't really speculate if he's comfortable or not when it comes to playing damage, but having Knessa and Shaolin, that'll help him get some low targets in front to pounce upon. But like I said, they're 1 and 2 so far in the Buck. Can this be the flex pick to get them their first win? It's do or die for Space Station. Nick, Evan, take it away.
So I like this draft from SSG. I think it's good. We were kind of I guess just conceptualizing that maybe even a Willow would show up.
I was
an
trolling,
FRZ God Willow. But I honestly I don't think it's too crazy because the hit scan pressure isn't out of this world on the side of Envy, and so you might have been able to get away with it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Rock is one of those Cassies that's so accurate, though. It would have felt like you have hit scan pressure on you, even from that mid range. I think Random Noob probably taking this pip up in arms. He's really accurate as well, and that's what separates the good pips from the great ones. And even to go a step beyond that, the FRZ gods, the Simsalos, if you will.
Yeah, and I think this is very questionable kind of game. We had a lot going on in the last one, and this is a reposition Kness, it looks to be, from Mitao.
He sticks with the Mega Potion, too. Random Noob has been doing a little bit of like this, like, swishy, swashy, trolly, like I'm switching at the last second. Ooh. But the Mega Potion shall stick.
Oh, good shots as well, and they're taking this battle. They like it. But, you know, I think the problem is Terminus and Fernando just bully their way there. But this is good repositioning, so to speak. Ares might go down. He gets a good jump out of the Void Crypt. Chow here on the high ground, and I like that as well. Rubu, though, finding the first blood onto the retreating buff.
And they're not able to get anything out of that flank. So unfortunate there. First blood does go to Envy. Took a minute there to get some good pressure out. 85%. On Midtow's Headhunter, he's almost got the ultimate. Nice little blast shot combo there from Rock, but a much slower paced first fight overall.
I think Freeze God here, he's going to struggle early. And maybe even late. This is tough because, you know, poke battle, you know, Cassie and Shaw, they could be right at each other. She's got the burst. But right here, you just have so much pressure from Fernando. And although he's at, you know, 300 health right now, he's done more than his duty. And they've got to step on the point. They have to be on that objective from now on.
I think that could have been a lot worse if Rubu wasn't there to kind of lay his life down on the line. Rock with a clean little combo there. Ares is going to jump up to the high ground. Rock's going to fall down. But again, Rock Monkey.
Look at how tanky he is.
He makes it out, and so many times Rock Monkey just feels like he should have been dead, but he lives.
And it's great, you know, play by Freeze God now. Random Noob has the evil mojo, but he goes in the seismic crash. What beautiful reactions from the side of Richel. That was magnificent, and that's going to keep him alive. This is going to give a chance for an outplay from Freeze God, but Rock Monkey is still there.
Rock has to die, man. Big headshot. Running through on the Fernando, the 1800 Midtow and Space Station Gaming, they fight back.
There's nothing more important in that moment than what Richau does. That seismic crash, he knows that Random Noob's looking for it, and he just charges it right at that moment so that he doesn't get turned into a chicken. It's beautiful, and it makes the difference as Space Station Gaming now go up 1-0.
Because I don't think we've seen a whole lot of that. We haven't seen a lot of the people reacting quick enough to the evil mojo. And so because so many have been landing in a big way for Team Envy, when you're getting ready, when someone's saying, I'm looking for it all, looking for it all, you almost group up to try and capitalize on it. Midtow, he takes to the high ground, and he puts the nail in the coffin in Rock Monkey for the first time this game, it feels like.
I mean, you know, Rubu was so aggressive at the start, but now look who's getting aggressive. Ares, Freeze God, and you talk about Ares as well. This build, the way that he's playing this buck, it's been so distracting. He's taking all the void grips of Mr. Hayes, and it's working, but once he makes it out alive, the second time he stays alive so long, that is just, you know, it takes all your resources. Now you're like, well, we can't go and give Mittal and Freeze God 2 seconds of free firing.
That headshot was so big, it hurts Rubu so much, forces him to throw up the shield. Tolki's died once. He's back in this fight. Time and space. It's not good on to anyone. Tolki's falling lower and lower again. Big shot from Mittal. This backline for Space Station is so lethal.
And he's just hitting these shots 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. Whenever Rubu shows up, Heat Haze. Beautiful play by him. Shimmer, reactivate, gets the withdraw yet again. It might have actually been Bullseye as well. If we check the loadout, what level of card he's running there, because that might have given him the reset. It was a little bit of both.
That stinks, though. Missing the Dread Serpent entirely. Misreading Rubu. Doesn't get aggressive onto Freeze God. And that's frankly like the turnaround play that Envy need. They're still losing on a couple of fronts there, but they're trading out. They're getting someone at least to slow Space Station down a little bit here in these trades. These 1-for-1s are going to be in favor of the defense because Envy is just reinforcing this fight so quicker.
He had Rock Monkey a little bit there. Didn't want to go for the planet. Rock Monkey just poking back with the blast shot. With one shot, Freeze God will force himself into a corridor just to stay alive. Tolki with the power siphon as well. And there's an evil mojo. This time, can they get Richau? They can. Random Noob cleans him up. He's going to have to get some resilience on fast.
That's, you know, it's a big ultimate burn, but we've seen how quickly those can be charged. Already coming through with the second evil mojo of the round for Random Noob, so he'll, I mean, realistically maybe be able to get this charged up again. I don't think the Mega Potion Whip charges quite as fast as the Catalyst does, but Random Noob's done a good job of it. I mean, getting those big healing numbers off of his 2 big, beefy frontliners certainly helps.
And there's, again, you know, the pressure that we saw at the start of the round. Totally different now. Reposition, that's the reason he gets out of that one. Looking for some headshots. Finally finds one there to finish off Mr. Hayes, although he falls just the same to Rock Monkey. But him and Freeze God have really turned the tide here. But a lot of unsung heroes in the Richows and the Aries that are making this happen.
For sure, making it very easy. That was a great round from Aries all around. He was able to put a lot of pressure on the backline. He's kind of doing what Rubu's doing.
His job.
Yeah,
you know?
they're doing the same job essentially here. They have almost the exact same stat line here. 2 and 3 for Rubu, 1 and 3 for Aries. It ain't pretty, but somebody's got to do it. They're sitting around the same spot on the damage chart as well. Rubu's been fantastic at times, and he was really the turnaround, putting that pressure on Freeze God, forcing the Dread Serpent to be missed. Rubu played a pretty instrumental part in that defense.
And I like it. He goes straight to the point. He knows he can kind of ball out with Tolkien right now. So, are you going to shoot me? I don't think so. I don't think he wants to jump quite yet. He knows the Void Grip will be there. They're going for Freeze God, and they found him. And now the Headhunter might be activated if they feel it's necessary. Aries still alive and well, and only 9% on the point for both teams here.
Huge win for Envy. The flanks for Aries are never really resulting in kills, and when Terminus is flanking and being successful, I mean, Envy have a lot to work with. Huge connection from distance as well. Random and Rock combining as they often do to find yet another pick for Envy.
Just didn't get anywhere out of line of sight. That was the big problem. I mean, he went farther back, but Rock Monkey's like, I can still see you. And that ends with a Envy objective, 84%. Will it stay that way? Freeze God activates the Heat Haze. Rock Monkey goes in the scout. He can see him, 93% now. Freeze God has to back off, but Mittal finds Mr. Haze, so this is big.
Aries needs to get a kill here onto somebody. He needs to pick a target. He needs to commit to it. Nice moves from Random Noob. He has forcing now to rotate to touch. The Evil Mojo comes out again. This chicken's pretty quick.
He's faster than Buck.
He's going to be able to get out of there, but to no avail, really. He comes right back around just to meet with an untimely fate against the Flamethrower.
And good plays there, good positioning for Random Noob, setting up for the push. Envy now in the lead. And it felt like Spacestation Gaming kind of did a miracle to grab that last one. But this looks like Envy just playing their lineup, doing what this lineup's supposed to do and just doing it well.
2 minutes left on the clock here. Space Station have to bounce back soon. They're running out of time. Envy leading 2-0 in this first best of 5. Big burst damage, but it won't result in the kill for Random Noob. Running the Mega Potion style, he's looking to keep these front lines healed up. Aries needs to find more traction in the back line, just plain and simple. Maybe it's the Cauterize coming on late game. It's going to allow him to convert those kills easier onto Random Noob.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they're going to be able to hang on long enough. Envy need to get this, or excuse me, don't need to get this conversion, but Space Station really need to hold this defense just to drag this out to late game.
He's just got to find headshots. That's what he's got to find. I mean, Tolkien 1v1ing your Buck, you can't give that up. You just can't give that up and stay alive and win this game.
Yeah, Tolkien's being far too successful in the back line. He's getting right in the faces of
can't do this.
Of Shaolin. This can't work out. It was Rubu in the first couple of rounds, but frankly, Tolkien has found more success doing it.
I mean, he's a fantastic Terminus, one of the best in the business. And whatever god or champion has T in their name, Tolkien has a mastery. Torvald and Terminus, he's been able to pilot well. There's Aries turned into a chicken yet again. He served up for lunch. Richow getting low, but not out. Freeze God has to make a play, and he's going to find Random Noob and goes into the Heat Haze as well. The Scout as well, so this is going to counter that, and even though he withdraws for the bonus damage, he's still going to get spotted out, and Tolkien with the kill.
Rock Monkey's just keeping a lid on Freeze God this game. He can't make any plays with the Heat Haze, and you got to wonder about this late Shaolin pick into the Cassie. It's not the hardest counter out there, but the way that Rock Monkey's playing it, he's being so conscious of just waiting for Heat Hazes, and he's ready to go every single time.
And that's why you look and you say, would a Bomb King been better here? Would a, you know, I mean, even a Willow, I'm not even kidding here. I know it's kind of a troll, but I think she would have provided some much-needed point pressure, which they just don't. You know, the bow characters, they provide your distance. But with Terminus and that shield, it's like a lot of that burst doesn't get through.
Freeze God's just got to change the way he's playing. I mean, we saw actually from the Gangstars, Envy did fairly well when he was being countered out by Scout. I think he still went 17-7 or something like that on his Shaolin. So just take your ultimate for what it is at that point. You're not invisible. However, you do move faster, draw your bow a little bit quicker. That's something. Recognize the fact that you're being hard countered every single time and play around it.
Smart Master Riding pickup here, and Tolkien staying on his mount. There's no reason to get off. There's no reason to get off. But here's Mr. Hayes. Aries. Oh, big play there. Aries can't quite find it. Gets a big heal, but that's a big shot as well. Freeze God combines. Midtown finds another. It's SSG trying to turn this thing around. Random noob hits the dust. Midtown with a double, and now SSG are back in business.
Aries just needed a little bit of help to get that flank off and running, and it does so illustriously. They get everyone 5-0. Envy fall apart. And with the comeback mechanic in place, Space Station are capturing quick. However, it is still 57% on the objective for Team Envy.
You got to zone here. You got to zone. You cannot let Tolkien get back on point with full health. If you do, this point is almost as good as lost, I think, because you got the reanimate. Rubu's going to come in, apply some pressure. There's Brand. Now the damage can be done to him. Where's Midtown? Where's he showing up? Good poke there onto the Stagala, and now Rock Monkey can make a play that will maybe put them through to the next round, but he can't quite find the kill there.
Unable to convert, Freeze God finds random move in the
Aries?
back line here. Aries needs to confirm this kill on the Rock Monkey. He's going to go right over the head, and he will. Now he finds the support all by himself. Freeze God's right there to tag team him down. Space Station Gaming win another fight. Tolkien's coming back, but I don't know if that's changing the outcome.
I don't know either, because it was not quite at 99%, and that's the big difference. They poked Tolkien enough so that he died early enough in this fight, so you didn't have to get off the point and lose the objective. It wasn't a damned if you do, damned if you don't, but right now it's still up to Rock Monkey. He can still make a big play. He's got the scout, so they'll know where Freeze God is, and there's the seismic crash. Can they burn Tolkien? They can, but Rock Monkey finds Aries. Rachao gets turned to a chicken. Dyron, he goes under the point, and it's still overtime, though. It's Midtow. It's Rock Monkey, who's the last man standing, and Envy, they're going to take this game and move on to the next set.
Shawnee Boy does it again. He finds the angle and he exploits what was a tiny hole, turns it into a massive defeat for Space Station Gaming. They keep turning this around. Envy so resilient, down but never out.
And they continue their run through the losers bracket. It's almost looking like deja vu. And Space Station Gaming, their tremendous run, their tremendous play comes to an end here, taking down their Latin American competitors previously, now falling to Team Envy 3-0. And unfortunate game 2 there, but this game 3 was definitely all Envy. Game 1 was definitely all Envy. And you got to say that at this point, the better team did win.
These front lines, you know, I think Rock's name will go down in history there for the frags at the end of the day. But the fact that he even had that opportunity, Tolkien and Rubu bought so much time. I said it in my own words, I don't know if it changes the outcome here. That reanimate certainly did.
Those guys are so good at Paladins, though. You know, you got to say, you got to respect it. And I think the way that Envy just continuously adapt and they continuously find angles and they always put themselves in positions to win and getting Rock Monkey in a favorable spot, it's admirable. And I can't wait to see what they do. They're going to face the loser, or the one who doesn't win, of the Fnatic Na'Vi set. So they'll be awaiting this next one. Let's send it back to the desk for now.
Well, not so much the Cinderella story that I think some of us may have wanted out of Space Station, but again, I have to hit on this because I think they did play this smart. Envy has not had success against the triple DPS yet, and again, there's two incidences there where Jaguar Falls was close. A handful of fights here on Serpent Beach were also close. It just wasn't enough done, Vox.
Just comes down to little bits on execution right towards the end shift, and to be honest there, looking at what Rock Monkey did on the Cassie right towards the end, is this Realm Royale? Are we watching a Battle Royale right now? There's one person left standing.
Yeah.
King of the Hill at the very least right there, but my goodness, the amount of output that Envy had, actually surpassed by Space Station here, but the survivability and resilience of the front lines on Envy's squad is something which is absolutely remarkable to see.
Yeah, and again, you cannot take anything away from either of these teams, even though it will go down as a 3-0. And in favor of Envy and against SSG, you're still walking away as the 4th best team to start off 2018 if you're Space Station Gaming, and that's impressive considering, again, they swept their way through the Brazilian region. They had a chance to prove themselves, and I think they did just that. It's just hard when you're going up against this guy here. Rock Monkey was such a performance, again, utilizing every champion in his pool at the highest level. In this game particularly, the Cassie, again, we're seeing why she's so high in the viability chart.
It's just the ability to 1-2 punch people, and you have that 1500 damage kill potential coming through very, very easily and repeatedly, and Rock Monkey just able to obliterate everybody towards the end, almost playing sort of a pub-style Cassie towards the end there, going, you know what, just send me solo into the backline, but critically also held every single scout for Heat Haze time and time again, shutting down so much of what actually maybe could have been different there. Freeze God didn't have the opportunity to run wild.
Yeah, and you're talking about running wild. How about Tolkien on Terminus now? 2 games in a row, he has had the biggest of impacts in the front line. And again, that's the difficulty when you're running a solo frontliner. You're dealing with somebody who can be right in your face the entire time with some help if needed. This time, Tolkien didn't really necessarily need the help. He was outshining the front line on his own.
And we talked about the last reanimate right there at the end shift as well, and little things here and there that maybe could have turned the tide of the battle, end up doing so.
Yep.
But regardless, folks, that is almost to the end of the lower bracket. Coming up next, though, be an interesting one.
Yeah, Fnatic Na'Vi. Let's go ahead and just make this, I would say, another
Again,
chapter of the same book.
Another one.
And another one.
We've seen this in the PPL Spring
And
Finals,
another
folks,
one.
as well. And once again, the loser of Fnatic versus Na'Vi will face off against Team Envy. We could actually end up seeing, quite a few repeated matches through this double elimination format, which is one of the beautiful elements of it.
Yeah,
where
and
you can see that if the the mid-tournament adaptation comes through, have the teams done their homework? Have they learned?
yeah, and that's going to be really key, I think, when you look at how does Envy transition to play up against these European juggernauts. But that's the end of the conversation for Envy. I want to get your opinions just early on.
Go on.
We've seen Fnatic and Na'Vi time and time. Are you ready for a blowout? Or a boxing match, rather? Not a
I am
blowout.
absolutely ready for a boxing match. I'm ready for some Megalobox boxing coming up here, Shift. I really am.
All right, well, the boxing happened for Envy, and they fought their way through this bout. Let's see how they're feeling after that bloody match with Space Station.
Hey guys, congratulations on your victory over Space Station. Looking a little bit grim there on Jaguar Falls, but you guys managed to turn it around, and it all came after that long pause. What was being said during that long downtime?
For that pause, we were just talking over the mids, because obviously the mids weren't working for us, the past 2 mids. So we had to figure out, all right, what is the most optimal way of doing it? What ultimates do they have, and who are they going to use it on? So we had to just position ourselves properly so we can either live through the ults or just have a superior position, because we knew what they were doing for the past 2 mids. And that's what most of the pause was used for.
Now let's move on to Game 3. You guys swept this series. A lot of people expected this to go the distance, but Game 3, you look strong from the outset. And Rock, obviously you took over in that last moment. I want your comments on what was going on through your mind there. And I want to hear what Tolkien thought as he was kind of watching from spectator as you do all that stuff to win the game.
I think they made so much chaos that last part, because they took the whole map. There was a Kinessa behind us. There was a Buck behind us. They had their bats. So my brain just saw danger, and then I just had to scurry around again, and that's all I was thinking, is just don't die and enjoy the chaos that they made.
And Tolkien, from your perspective as well, I was like, when you reanimated, I'm like, I'm not sure if they can bring this fight back, but you guys did. You created an immeasurable amount of time and just recovery moments, not only on Jaguar Falls, but on Serpent Beach as well. And how do you do that? How do you guys manage to stay alive for so long, and how do you have the foresight to know that, you know what, this is a fight I can turn around?
It's mostly just keeping track of if they use the movement ability. Say, are they in the range of Terminus Assault? Did they use their shields? What abilities did they use? Most of the time when I'm waiting for my team to come back, then I'm trying to just wait out the Terminus counter until the very last second. And by then, I should also have around half of my siphon, so I can solve for even more time. And if you just siphon for long enough, you just get out of cauterized, and Haze comes back to pocket heal, and you just keep living forever. So it's just keeping track of the abilities and making sure you just time yours perfectly too.
Quick question, whose decision was it to go Mega Potion instead of the Catalyst in this map?
I think it was random.
Yep, random. He looks at what the enemy team has in terms of is there early cauterizes, what tank line do we have, and he just realizes that, yeah.
And that's an interesting one. Are we lacking damage? Because really, when he's going Mega Potion, it's a lot up to your Cassie. So are you part of that conversation of do we have enough damage?
I think if we have a Genos and a Cassie, it's pretty easy to step up the damage. But
Also,
if I'm on something like Kinessa, it's a little spooky going Mega Potion.
Also, to compensate a little bit, I'll swap off from Undying to go to Decimation and add that little extra burst damage. If you have 4 stacks of Decimation stacks, you just kill a chicken in one.
Yeah.
Just do that and chicken's dead.
It's true. And now taking a quick look forward, you've got to face the loser of Na'Vi versus Fnatic. Who would you rather see sitting across from you in the losers finals?
I think Fnatic downloaded us a little bit, so maybe Na'Vi fits us a little better.
See, I want to say Fnatic get our revenge, but I think it'd be fun to play against our friends Na'Vi. They're our good friends.
Well, if you play against Na'Vi and then you beat them, you still get revenge with Fnatic. So either way, you guys will have a great competitor in this next one. I'll be excited to watch how that unfolds, but congrats on the win, and good luck again in this run through the losers bracket.
Thank you.
Thanks.